Third down and 20.
We're going to talk about players that we think can be available that you could draft past around 306 in a 12-team Superflex league. What guys we're looking to buy. Does anyone feel strongly about any of them? Anyone want to go first?
Man, no one wants to go. No late-round targets here.
I know. You guys are soft.
Any takers? I mean, listen, I'll be down to carry the segment. I was going to let you guys get some guys out of the way first, though.
I'm pulling up my draft board right now. Okay. There's one I got. Okay, so if this guy falls, obviously tight end in this draft is kind of like an elite tier prospect. And then there's like a fucking canyon. Like there's just like the biggest cliff ever in terms of like drop off from number 1 to 2. But if you're going to take the chance on anyone, if he's available in that second half of the third round, Brevin Jordan is someone I like in that range. He's no guarantee to like be like a star. Like obviously there's a reason he's available that late. But if there's any tight end after Kyle Pitts that, at least in my opinion, I think you guys agree, that has the highest chance of becoming fantasy relevant, it's him. He has a very low floor, but I think he has like a decent ceiling if he can kind of grow better as a football player. But he's someone I'm looking at like the end of the third round, especially in tight end premium leagues.
Yeah, he's a jag.
Frank.
Well, I mean, aren't most of the end of the third round guys jags at that point?
Yeah, maybe the ones
like Jamar Jefferson's going end of the third round.
He's probably not going at the end of the third round, actually. Like, well, we'll see what happens with draft capital and everything. But I've seen Reddit leagues where he goes like mid-second. Like, he might not even be available after.
Dude, go ahead. Please take him in the mid-second. Jesus.
I mean, yeah, I'm fine with people taking him that early too.
I guess real quick, instead of just having blind hate towards Brevin Jordan, one of the reasons I don't like Brevin Jordan is because if you look at his athletic profile, there are just not really tight ends that have his athletic profile. And when we're talking about players that now I haven't got into the Brevin Jordan tape hard. I have just watched Miami games and he's not necessarily popped off the screen. I was actually going to go over tight ends on stream, but for Brevin Jordan to be out of the jag range, given his relative athletic score and whatnot, he was really going to have to do something special. Because the only tight end that has had a below average relative athletic score and had even a Pro Bowl appearance, we're not even talking about elite level production. We're talking about a Pro Bowl appearance, 750 yards even, is Jordan Reed. That is the only person in the past 2 decades at the tight end position with a below average relative athletic score to do that. Brevin Jordan falls in that below average range.
I'm surprised.
I'm
surprised Jordan Reed got a below average athletic score.
I'm pretty sure he was hurt when he came. I mean, the dude's been hurt.
Oh, it's because of his injuries?
Yeah, like years and years and years. The guy's just been perennially injured. But even players like Zach Ertz, who were not necessarily groundbreakingly athletic, have a much higher relative athletic score, and you look at their overall profile, kind of fit the more just overall tight end build compared to Brevin Jordan. So it's funny, you're going to hear Frank, the film guy, going off of analytics, but this is, to me, kind of an analytics play. I don't think his draft capital is going to match a level where it's worth an investment, and his athletic score is even worse. So to me, I'm staying away from him at any pick, third round or above. That's just me, though.
Fair enough. I mean, I'll take the next guy if we're done with the Brevin Jordan train here.
Go ahead.
This guy actually went above our 306 in our mock last week, but I think he will fall a little bit to the more, commoner drafters out there. I think Nico Collins is just a fantastic pick. He's a big wide receiver from Michigan, and I just think he fits all the things you could look for in one of these, later round, dart throws, just because he's an athletic big wide receiver. And he just makes plays, and you saw that, watching his tape last year at Michigan. So he's a guy that I know Frank loves, and that's why he went higher in our draft than I think he will in most other drafts. So I'm breaking our 306 rule here, but what do you guys think?
I like Nico.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to go before 306.
I completely agree. No, if you can get Nico Collins from 306 to the end of the third round, 1,000% draft him for all the reasons Jake just said. I expect him to go kind of top half third round, but if he's available, then 1,000% I agree you should take him.
I think draft capital is the situation he lands in is really going to affect his draft capital here, or his draft position here. I'm sorry. But overall, he's a guy that I definitely like, and even the beginning of the third round, like Frank took him in our draft last week. So keep an eye out on him.
I wouldn't be surprised if he fell past like around 306.
I'm not saying much.
I wouldn't be surprised. No, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm just saying because I would take him top half third round. Like that, I'm with Jake where I think, and you where I'm high on him. But so at any point in the third round, I'd be good with that pick.
Yeah, I'm just thinking back to last year because I think he's a pretty similar prospect to like a Van Jefferson, right? Where Van Jefferson, like you look at his build, his testing was pretty damn good. He has some pretty good tape. He went in the second round, but still kind of fell towards that middle to end of the third round in most drafts. I think that Nico Collins could be a similar guy. I think that if he gets the same draft capital that Van Jefferson did, because I think he's a little bit more like a physical kind of prospect, and I think it's easier to buy into him. Like, okay, well, he opted out, and the situation he was in at Michigan was crap, and he looked so good at the Senior Bowl that there might be a little bit more of a hype train behind him. But yeah, I struggle to see him without some serious draft capital going in the second round, unless you got some numbnut like me who's going to reach on him. I'm gonna go next though, and this is a guy that I haven't necessarily dove into a ton, but the more I get into him, the more I really start to fall in love as a fourth round, fifth round kind of prospect, and that's Trey Nixon out of UCF. I'm pretty sure this is another opt-out kid. He went to UCF, so he was kind of overshadowed by Gabriel Davis in this offense, but at the same time, like he has the measurables. I think he had, like, from the little film I've watched, he looks pretty good. And then the price that you're getting him at is just really, really nice. He kind of checks all the boxes of a dart throw that could really have some serious upside. I think he is a little bit on the he's a redshirt senior, so he's a little bit on the older end of the spectrum, which you kind of don't like to see. But for the price that you're paying, I imagine he's probably going to have like a fourth or fifth round ADP, unless he really goes high in the NFL draft. Maybe he sneaks into the end of the third, but I don't think he really goes over the Brevin Jordans and the Pat Freiermuths even. So I think this is a guy that has fourth round steal written all over him, and he's a really high quality dart throw at the end of a draft.
Okay, that was kind of unexpected for me to bring him up.
Was that one of your guys? Did I steal one?
No, I have my guy locked and loaded. I'm just, is he even going in the, like, is he going in the fourth, fifth round? I don't even know if he's getting drafted right now.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone's doing like serious rookie drafts. I think most people draft after the NFL draft. So
yeah.
I think that he's going to fall somewhere between rounds like 4 to 7. And I don't know. He's one of those kids that, like, you talk about the guys that seriously got screwed from like the whole COVID year. I think that he's kind of one of the prime candidates of a dude that's gotten screwed. I think that in a normal season, he would have, like, him and Nico Collins would be getting a lot more hype.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really kind of stunned by that one. I did not expect that. I mean, I've heard of him. I think that is a decent dart throw at the end.
He's a true dart throw.
Yeah,
true dart throw.
I also
are you taking him in the second half of the third round, or is he someone you'd wait till the fourth round?
No. I would, like, he's the kind of guy that with that 503 we have in our rebuild league, or maybe even a 406, depending on where he goes in the NFL draft. I think that he's one of more of those picks, maybe even a 508. It really depends on where, because there are a lot of guys that I like that usually go very late 5th or undrafted. Darno Mooney was a guy that I was trying to pick up in leagues, and his ADP ranged anywhere from late 4th to mid 5th. So, I mean, 503, I think you can realistically expect to get him there, unless, because with dart throws, it always is. If there's one guy that really likes a dude, it doesn't really matter if you reach a full round from the 4th to 5th round of ADP. It doesn't really matter.
Okay. I also have a wild dart throw for you guys. I don't even know if he's going in the first 5 rounds, probably like end of the 5th. But I'm going really out there. I know Luna said tight end Brevin Jordan really cheap. They could get him.
Are you saying the kid from Iowa?
No. I'm saying Kenny Yaboa, who Luna should know. He used to play for Temple, actually. He transferred. Well, originally he was going to play for Baylor. Then he went to Temple. Then he transferred to Ole Miss this year. And he had a very good game against Alabama. Do you guys remember that game when like Ole Miss was like it was just like
at a 6 Senior Bowl too.
Yeah,
I think it was my favorite tight end at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, he is a senior, so 10-year-old JT is like not like in love, but like at a 5th round pick, like come on, like you can't get much cheaper. I'm willing to pull the trigger on that one. He is, what is it? He was one of the top tight ends in yards per catch, actually. Behind Brevin Jordan, I think was the only guy ahead of him for 2020, which is interesting because Kyle Pitts is there. But yeah, he's someone that I just think is a decent dart throw. Ole Miss played well when he transferred. He was originally recruited by Baylor, so he's got at least a decent profile. His athletic profile, like Frank was mentioning, is kind of it's on the lower side. According to Kent Lee Platt, it's a 5.93, which is a lot higher still than Brevin Jordan, but it's like middle of the pack.
I think it's at like that minimum, not minimum amount, but towards that minimum amount that I think it's high enough to where you can say, you know what? Yeah, it's not as high as I'd like, but considering the fact you're picking him up in like the 4th or 5th round, it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
So that's my random dart throw late round target. Do you guys have any more late round targets you want to start throwing out?
Yeah, I'll match you guys with another tight end. Kenny Yaboa was actually one of my tight ends because he's the kind of guy that, like I said before, I'm more of a film first, analytics second. Because he's on that lower end, I would like to come out, but I like his film and what I saw at the Senior Bowl enough to kind of put him in that, okay, 4th round pick, I'll draft him. A tight end, though, that I'm really interested in, and I think he's been rising on like NFL guy scout boards. I'm starting to hear some rumblings on like the NFL draft subreddit and stuff, and some of like the Twitter scouts, and that's Tommy Tremble from Notre Dame.
Ooh,
this is a really interesting prospect. I think that I think he's going to go a lot higher than people realize. I mean, you talk about an athletic score, that Kent Lee Platt relative athletic score, 8.91, one of the, I think it's top 3 out of all tight ends or top 4 out of all tight ends this year. I mean, he goes to Notre Dame, so a pretty good tight end pedigree there, like just producing tight ends year in and year out. So he's getting that high quality coaching. I haven't really grinded a ton of the tape on him yet, but at the same time, if you were to do a rookie draft, I'm not sure people even know who Tommy Tremble is, let alone, the fact that I think you're getting a legitimately good prospect at the very back end of the draft. I mean, the only other tight end, because I'm not really a huge Brevin Jordan guy, I think the only other tight end that would be a tier above him is arguably Pat Freiermuth. I can understand why people like Brevin Jordan, but I think Tommy Tremble is going to be a guy that rises. I don't think he's going to rise enough, though, for him to not be worth a 4th round pick.
Again, another random one. I do also like this for the reasons you mentioned. I have another one that I want to throw out. If you guys
another tight end?
No. I feel like I'm the wide receiver guy here. I throw out a lot of wide receivers.
I've been waiting for one of you guys to mention my guy.
Your guy? Well, I'm about to mention
Jaden
one.
Blue?
No. Once I say it, you guys will know.
Okay. I'm saying Tamorion Terry. Is that who you're talking, Lounis?
No, I was talking about a quarterback.
Oh, why? Okay. Moving on. Terry's from FSU. He was he didn't test well. I had him up kind of higher. He like his pro day was kind of bad. It was weird because he took time off too to prepare for the pro day, and he still didn't do that well testing wise, which is going to drop his stock. Like I'm not entirely sure where he's going to get drafted in the NFL now. Before I was kind of hopeful that he might be a day 2 pick. Now I'm pretty doubtful that that's going to happen, which does hurt him drastically. But that's going to be reflected in his rookie draft stock, right? Like he's probably was like a middle of the 3rd round pick before. Now we could probably get him in like the middle of the 4th round, I would assume, somewhere around there. He's like a alpha kind of deep threat guy. Like his average depth of target for 2021, according to Matt Gajewski on Twitter, was 13.3 yards, which has him right around the likes of Jamar Chase, Tylan Wallace, Jalen Waddle. He's like right in between all those guys. Like Jalen Waddle's a little below him, Chase is a little above. He's in that zone, and it's the kind of type of wide receiver that you want to have. So getting him in like the 4th round, I think that's worth a dart throw.
All right, Lounis. I've got a bunch of receivers I want to say, so why don't you say one?
I was going to say a quarterback. Kyle Trask.
Oh, yeah.
You guys may have heard of him.
All right, Lounis, you're done. You're done.
No, dead ass though. Like if he's available at the end of the 3rd or early 4th, you can't tell me there are that many guys you would take in terms of just upside.
I'm not saying that like you made a bad decision. I'm saying that you talk about Kyle Trask every episode.
I purposely didn't pick him in hopes that one of you would. Like that's like I purposely picked Brevin Jordan. I was hoping that one of you guys would say it instead, but no one was saying it, so I was like, okay, I'll bite the bullet. But no, if he's available at the end of the 3rd, like just off upside.
Man, I got a lot of receivers that I still really like as dart throws.
Also, there's another receiver I really like. I said it in our chat the other day. He's from Tennessee, and I'm forgetting. Yes, he's someone that I like, especially if he's available in the 4th round. He's a receiver I like a lot that showed a ton of flashes in the SEC against good corners.
Yeah, he also had a pretty good Senior Bowl. Yeah, Josh Palmer's on my radar. So I've got a couple other guys that I like as dart throw picks. We'll probably end up picking a bunch of these guys in our rebuild league because we're going to be.
Do we know when that draft is, by the way?
No,
it's going to be determined. Like probably like 3-4 weeks from now, I think.
So some of the guys, I'm just going to list off a couple of guys that I like, and then go into the dude that I guess I'd take over all of them. So like Trayvon Grimes, Lounis's Florida boy, I think is a guy that showed some decent promise. I'd be looking at him possibly. Shi Smith, South Carolina guy. Shi can fly. I still like Shi Smith. You got some other guys. Austin Watkins I talked about the other day. I have some problems, actually a lot of problems with his overall like athleticism, but in terms of a receiver and strong hands, the dude's got it. But the dude that I'm going to end up picking is a dude that was overshadowed by Tutu Atwell at Louisville, and that's Desmond Fitzpatrick, the more true outside receiver at Louisville. I really like what I saw out of Desmond Fitzpatrick on film. I think that he actually kind of popped out just as much as Tutu Atwell, just not as much as that vertical threat that Tutu Atwell is that's so coveted by NFL teams. But Desmond Fitzpatrick seemed like a better all-around receiver, actually. This is a guy who played already at the Senior Bowl. And lastly, his athletic profile is very good compared to some of his later round peers, especially some of the guys that I mentioned. So Desmond Fitzpatrick, as JT loves this, as an alpha wide receiver that you could pick up in the 4th round of your drafts. I actually think he's going to go in the 4th round of most drafts. I really like the potential upside of a Desmond Fitzpatrick, especially if he gets into a good system on a team that needs a wide receiver. I really do think he could step up as a team's wide receiver too pretty early on in his career if given the opportunity.
Watch his game against, I think it's Virginia Tech he plays against. That I do like about. I mean, I think he might just go undrafted in most rookie drafts, I feel like. But yeah, he is someone else that I definitely would be willing to toss a dart throw at. Put him on your taxi squad. Just hope something happens with him.
All right, you guys got anyone else? I want to say a running back. I feel like we've been disregarding the running backs.
Well, okay, yeah, you go first. Yeah.
Well, I've been saying it about every freaking episode, but I really like Khalil Herbert. He's a guy that might fall past, 306, that I think has got second-round talent. I guess the last one I'll go for is I haven't really done a lot of film on this guy, but Jake Funk out of Maryland. Jake's Maryland guy. Yeah, Jake Funk, he's interesting. I'm pretty sure he has something interesting about his backstory that I can't remember off the top of my head. But there's something interesting about it. I think he was like a really highly rated prospect that just wanted to play for Maryland or something.
I'm pretty sure he got hurt and like missed like 2 years.
Yeah, or something like that. Something along the line. But he tested really well. Like I said, like running backs, dart throw running backs are always weird. I feel like you have a better chance of being an undrafted back with success than a guy that goes in like the 7th round. But Jake Funk is a guy that I would keep my eye on if he goes into a situation that I like.
The two guys I would throw out there who we've talked about a little bit, and they're on very opposite ends of the spectrum, are Ramondre Stevenson and Javian Hawkins. I'm not really sure what's going to go on with them with the real NFL draft. Right now in the rookie drafts, like sometimes they'll be in the 3rd round, sometimes they won't get drafted because normally I only see they go through 3 rounds. So that's, probably right around where they are getting drafted. And I just think that if we're doing dart throws, both of them would be good targets, especially with Ramondre Stevenson. Like weight was a big concern, but he actually came into the pro day and everything like much, much leaner than he was playing at. Like he was playing at like 247. And I think he came in at like 220 something to the pro day Senior Bowl. Yeah, those are 2 ones I just throw darts at. All right. Are we good to move on then?
Did we not take Kylan Hill in our draft in our first 3 rounds?
I don't think so. He's the one that fluctuates everywhere too.
Yeah.
Kylan Hill's
I
an
was gonna say,
interesting
I don't
guy.
think so.
I like Kylan Hill.
A ton of those late round running backs, I'm just gonna be looking for based off landing spot.
I think one of the problems
quick opportunities.
One of the problems I have with Kylan Hill is that I really don't think I'm getting that elite level upside. I feel like he's what people want Lamar Jefferson to be.
That's why you're taking him in, the 4th and 5th round of a rookie draft.
Yeah, but I've seen him. He's sneaking up into like the 2nd round ADP, and a lot of like
that surprises me a little bit.
Yeah, like late 2nd. I think he's got a better ADP than Trey Sermon, which just kind of baffles me a little bit. I mean, if we want to
all day.
Since none of us threw out like a true dart throw quarterback, I can throw out one aside from our usual like Kellen Mond and Kyle Trask stuff.
Davis from Stanford.
Yeah, Davis Mills, but Davis Mills to me is like, I think he's all right, but people know about Davis Mills, and people know about this guy, but I recently rewatched his tape, and I was actually really impressed, and that's Sam Ellinger out of Texas.
Oh.
Sam, he's nothing crazy. But in terms of a guy, I mean, he kind of has all the tools. I feel like he has the arm. His release is definitely not as sexy as some of the top-end quarterbacks, but I think it's all right. It's enough. I think his accuracy needs to improve, but he's a guy that can run. He can throw. He played really well, especially early on in his Texas career. So in terms of like a quarterback that'll probably go undrafted, or very late, like a 5th round pick, right? Sam Ellinger, he's a possible guy. I don't think I would necessarily spend a pick on him unless I really needed a quarterback. But if he went undrafted, I'd throw a shout at Sam Ellinger.
Are you a fan of Jamie Newman in the 4th or 5th round?
God, no. I'm not touching Jamie Newman. Yeah.